Welcome to Kojo Recaps. Today I'm going to show you a 2003 American neo-Western comedy drama called Holes. Spoilers ahead. Be sure to like and share the love. In Texas, the Yelnats family has been cursed to be unlucky, which they blame on their ancestor Elia's failure to keep his promise and carry fortune teller Madame Zeroni up the mountain over a century earlier in Latvia. Stanley Yelnats IV is a good-hearted teenager born to the luckless family that has been cursed for generations. The luckiest of the Yelnats ancestors, Stanley Yelnats I, lost his fortune when outlaw Kissin Kate Barlow stole his treasure chest. Stanley Yelnats III is also a struggling inventor trying to solve the mystery on how to prevent foot odor. One day, his son, Stanley IV, is wrongfully arrested and convicted for stealing a pair of baseball shoes that Clyde Sweetfeet Livingston, a famous baseball player, had donated to a homeless shelter. Though Stanley truthfully says that the sneakers came flying at him out of nowhere, he chooses to go to Camp Huron Lake, which is a juvenile detention work camp, for 18 months instead of jail. He arrives to find that the camp is a dried-up lake run by the corrupt Warden Walker, her assistant Mr. Sir, and camp counselor Dr. Pendansky. Each day, the detainees must dig a hole 5 feet deep and 5 inches in diameter to build character, despite the danger of the desert sun, rattlesnakes, and yellow-spotted lizards, which can kill with a single bite. During one night, Mr. Sir rescues Stanley from a yellow-spotted lizard, which he warns Stanley are venomous, aggressive, and lethal. The children are told that if they find anything interesting, they may earn a day off. The inmates are divided into cabins and known by their nicknames, including Zero, who refuses to speak to anyone but likes to dig holes, Armpit, Zigzag, Squid, X-Ray, and Magnet. Stanley is slowly accepted into the group and is given the name Caveman. After taking the blame for Magnet stealing Mr. Sir's sunflower seeds, Stanley is taken to Walker's house, where old wanted posters and newspapers lead him to realize that KB stands for Catherine Kissin Kate Barlow, a school teacher turned outlaw from the past. Walker asks Stanley to grab her box of nail polish and mentions that it contains rattlesnake venom. After he and Mr. Sir explain what happened when the sunflower seeds, Walker realizes Stanley didn't steal them and injures Mr. Sir. She then allows Stanley to return to his hole. Stanley and Zero make a deal in which Zero will help Stanley dig his holes and Stanley will teach Zero how to read. Zero reveals that his name is Hector Zeroni and that before coming to the camp, he was living on the streets with his mother, but they lost one another and now he cannot find her. A flashback shows how the men of the Yelnats family suffer under a bad luck curse that affects all aspects of their lives. Stanley II tells Stanley IV the story of how it all started with his great-great-grandfather Elia Yelnats in Latvia. Elia worked for Morris Minky, shoveling manure out of his barn. Elia thought Minky's daughter Myra was very beautiful. He goes to a fortune teller, Madame Zeroni, for advice about his destiny. Madame Zeroni recommends that he go to America, where her son has gone, and that his future should be there, instead of with Myra, who is empty-headed. Elia asks Minky for permission to marry his daughter, but Minky says that Igor, who is eating with him, has offered her his fattest pig. To prove her point about Myra, Madame Zeroni advises Elia to take a young pig and carry it up the mountain every day so that as the pig grows, he will get stronger. Further, he should sing the pig a certain song when it drinks water from the stream. She tells him that after the pig is full grown and he gives it to Minky, Elia must carry her up the mountain and sing while she drinks, so that she will regain her strength. She gives him a warning, though, that if he forgets to perform that last task, she will curse him and his generations to eternity. Elia gives the pig to Minky, and Minky allows his daughter to choose who she wants to marry. She is indecisive. In anger, Elia tells her to go ahead and marry Igor. He takes Madame Zeroni's advice and heads to America, but forgets to carry her up the mountain as she ordered him to do, if he wants to be spared the curse. He realizes that he just made the biggest mistake of his life. Another flashback, which reveals how the modern story comes together, relates the history of Camp Green Lake. The town was once a thriving lake town with plenty of water and life. Miss Catherine, the schoolteacher, is accosted by a rich landowner, Warden Walker's ancestor, Trout Walker. He proposes to her, but she rejects him. Miss Catherine is in love with the onion seller Sam, an African American who helps repair her schoolhouse in exchange for her renowned spiced peaches. Among other things, Sam claims that regularly consuming onions and onion juice will keep the local yellow-spotted lizards away. When Sam kisses Miss Catherine, the townspeople burn the school. Sam attempts to escape in his boat with Mary Lou, but Trout kills Sam. In retaliation, Kate kills the sheriff, who refused to help Sam. She leaves a lipstick kiss on his forehead, beginning her life as the outlaw Kissin' Kate, who kisses the men she kills. At one point, she robs a stagecoach in which Stanley Yelnats Sr., Elia's son, is traveling. She steals all the luggage, but allows Stanley Sr. to live. Stanley Sr. would eventually tell his son, Stanley Yelnats Jr., that he only survived the ordeal by climbing God's thumb, but it is unclear where or what that is. 20 years later, the now bankrupt Trout and his spouse track down Barlow and tell her to hand over her treasure. After seeing a vision of Sam, Barlow refuses and tells the Trout he'll have to dig for the treasure, after which Barlow intentionally receives a lizard bite and dies. Trout sets about wasting his life digging for the treasure. Back in the present, Stanley finds a tube of lipstick that belonged to Kissin' Kate Barlow, but he gives it to X-Ray because X-Ray hasn't had a day off in 6 months. X-Ray gets an entire day off for the tube. Then, Armpit tries to pass off a stove knob as something he dug up, but the warden knows better, and Armpit's joke costs him a week of no shower privileges. After Dr. Pedansky insults Zero, he retaliates by hitting him with his shovel and runs away. After some deliberation, Stanley sets out to help Hector and steals Mr. Sir's truck, but crashes it into one of the many holes. Stanley finds Zero taking shelter under the remains of Sam's boat, the Mary Lou, an old overturned stagecoach. Zero, now stranded in the desert, offers Stanley the last jar of sploosh, which was an old jar of Miss Catherine's spiced peaches, which had been left on the boat. Stanley, knowing that he can't survive in the desert for much longer without water, eventually Stanley carries the now ill Zero up the local mountain. The peak at which looks like a thumb, which is imputed to be God's thumb and Barlow's secret hideout. Meanwhile, Walker decides to presume Hector is dead and deletes his files. Stanley carries Hector up the mountain, where they find a field of onions and a source of water, helping them regain strength for several days. Unknowingly, Stanley breaks the family curse because Hector Zeroni happens to be a descendant of Madame Zeroni. When he carries Hector to the top of the mountain, sings to him, and lets him drink from the stream that runs uphill, he fulfills the promise made by Elia centuries earlier. After Hector wakes up, he reveals he is the reason Stanley was sent to Camp Green Lake. Hector tells Stanley he had been homeless and had been at the shelter where many things had been donated. Because he did not know the shoes were famous, he took the shoes and walked off with them. He then heard sirens coming. Thinking they were after him, Hector took off the shoes and tossed them over the bridge, where they fell on Stanley's head. This is how Stanley was caught with the shoes and sent to Camp Green Lake. Stanley thinks it is destiny that they met and forgives Zero. As Stanley breaks his family curse, his father finally finds the solution to odor-eliminating mixture that he has been trying all his life to create: the addition of peaches and onions. Returning to the camp, Stanley and Zero expand the hole where Stanley found the lipstick and discover a chest, but they are immediately discovered by Walker, Mr. Sir, and Pedansky. Walker reveals that she is Trout's granddaughter and that she had been forced as a child to dig alongside him. Now she is using the inmates to search for Barlow's treasure. The adults are unable to steal the chest from the boys, as their hole has swarmed with lizards, passive to Stanley and Hector due to the onions they have been eating for days. The adults decide to wait for the morning, when the lizards will retreat to the shade. Warden Walker and Mr. Sir discover and attempt to take the chest away from Stanley and Zero, until they notice that yellow-spotted lizards have climbed onto the boys. When the group is discovered the next morning by the Assistant Attorney General and Stanley's lawyer, Carla Marengo, Walker attempts to explain that the chest is hers, at which point Stanley jumps out of the hole to confront her with Hector behind him. They are still alive due to the fact that the yellow-spotted lizards are adverse to onions they had been eating. Hector reveals that Stanley Yelnats is written on the front of the chest. The next morning, the Attorney General and Stanley's lawyer arrive, accompanied by Texas Rangers. The chest Stanley found is discovered to have the name of his namesake great-grandfather emblazoned on it, and he is given possession of it. One of the cops notices that Mr. Sir, who was revealed to be Marion Servillo, has a gun, which is a violation of his parole. When Warden Walker states that she had no knowledge of this, Mr. Sir blurts that Dr. Pendanski isn't a real therapist. The Assistant Attorney General then declares Camp Green Lake under his jurisdiction, as Marion, Warden Walker, and Dr. Pendanski are arrested. As Stanley is beginning to leave, rain falls on Camp Green Lake. Walker, Marion, and Dr. Pendanski are shocked because it hasn't rained at Green Lake for over 100 years. The Yelnats family and Zero open the chest, which is full of all of Barlow's stolen treasure, gold, jewels, and stock certificates worth millions. Stanley insists on sharing the treasure with Zero, who uses it to hire private investigators and locates his missing mother. Both families live a life of financial ease as neighbors, and the boys of Camp Green Lake visit often, especially to go swimming. Camp Green Lake is closed, and all its juvenile inmates are sent home. Later, it reopens as a Girl Scout camp. At the end, an advertisement appears on TV for the odor-eliminating mixture, Sploosh. The celebrity endorser is Clyde Sweet Feet Livingston. Stanley, Clyde, and others watch. Thanks for watching. Be sure to tune in to the next one. Bye.